I'm excited to share with you some new functionality on Greater Commons. We just got this running. We now have certificates for all of our courses. But for a certificate to be available in a course, the instructor has to enable the certificate. Let me say that again. So for a certificate to be available in a course, the instructor has to enable the certificate. So I'm going to show you first of all what a certificate looks like from the student perspective. And then after that, I will show you how, as the instructor, you could go in and enable certificates. So I'm going to go into a course here. And when I get into the course, if certificates have been enabled, which they have been for this course, I scroll down and there's a progress bar. So this bar is added when certificates have been enabled. And I could click right here to get a certificate if I've met all of the criteria that the instructor has set. Let me say that again. If I'm a student, and I have met all of the criteria that the instructor has set for getting a certificate, then I'll have this Get Certificate button. So I'm going to click that button and it's going to launch the certificate. It's going to bring that up and it'll print out all the different criteria, everything that the instructor has set on the certificate that will show on the certificate. So here's the certificate and you can see date completed, valid until, and you could print it if you want. And when you print it, you could, if your headers and footers are showing up, you could disable those to get rid of that little URL right there. So there's the certificate. And it has a little QR code for verification. So that's what a certificate looks like from the student perspective. From the instructor perspective, you go into your courses and then go into the courses that you have published and then go into Manage Course, and then over here you could click on Certificates and you have all these criteria you could set. You can say, hey, all quizzes need to be taken to receive a certificate, and you could set a required average quiz score. So maybe you want to say they got at least 70% on all quizzes in the course, and a required minimum quiz score on any one quiz, they got at least 60%. And required percent of course completed, they need to have completed 70% of the course, so gone through 70% of the curriculum items. You could also say that required time watch, like the sexual harassment training, requires by law 2 hours. So we could say, hey, you have to watch at least 2 hours before you get your certificate. You can say how long the certificate is valid for. So, you know, maybe I'd make it valid for 10 years or something like that. And then I could also show the average quiz score, show the percent of the course completed, and show the time viewed for the course. Plus, I could also do fine print. So if I wanted to add some fine print to the certificate, I could do that also. All right, so that's how you set it up as an instructor. Hit submit. And one last thing I'll point out is, you know, if I went back to that course, I'm going to go back to that course. My courses, let's just go straight to there, and then down here, and then go back into that course. Since that certificate for this course has already been issued to me, even though the criteria has changed, right? The criteria has changed, I still have that certificate that's been issued. So once the certificate's been issued to a student, then they have that certificate still, even if the requirements become more stringent. And then the next thing I'll point out is that when you go into your profile area, so click on your profile, you have a certificates tab, and this will show all the certificates that you've earned in different courses, so you have easy access to them. All right, that's certificates.